Well, Paul has encouraged us and the believers at Colossae to change our mindset to reflect a heavenly mindset. He then went on to encourage these believers at Colossae to put off the old man, almost like taking off an old stinky garment, to put off the old man with its perverted actions and twisted mindsets, to put off those things. But Paul knows it's not just enough to change your mindset. It's not just enough even to put off something. You see, something has to be put on if we're truly going to live a heavenly lifestyle that reflects God's glory as God intended us to do. So, if you will, Paul is going to encourage them to put on a new man. So these 4 verses are going to be broken up into 2 different units. Verses 10 through 11 are going to make up one unit, and then verses 12 to 13 are going to make up the second unit. So let's get into it. Right at the start, Paul is going to open up with and have put on the new man. So again, there's the image of, instead of putting off the old stinky garment, putting off the old man, it's almost an image of putting on a fresh, a pleasant, even you could say heavenly garment, or to put on a new man. Well, what is this new man? What is this talking about? Well, the rest of the verse explains it, which is renewed in knowledge after the image of him that created him. So you see, this new man is the image of Jesus Christ. It's the example. It's the, as I heard one scholar put it, the icon or the image of our Savior, Jesus Christ. So to put on the new man is to live according to Christ's example. Now, as we get into verse number 11, the idea is going to be expanded as Paul is going to break down the old social barriers, the old social ideologies and hindrances, if you will, as Paul is going to explain that, but Christ is all and in all. So you see, Jesus is creating a new humanity, which is after his own image. So whenever a person gets saved and they become a part of a church and they're able to serve, Jesus wants them to exemplify his example, to exemplify a characteristics of a new human. And this is truly a wonderful thing as we are going to get into it. So as we get into verse numbers 12 through verse number 13, Paul is going to list the characteristics of this new man. And I hope it's going to look familiar, and I'll explain why momentarily. So verse 12 opens up, put on. So there's the image again. Put on, therefore, as the elect of God, holy and beloved. And then it gets into the list. Bowels of mercies, kindness, humbleness of mind, meekness, long-suffering, forbearing one another, forgiving one another. Well, that list should look familiar. You see, there's only one person that has perfectly exemplified that list, and that person would be Jesus Christ. So what all this list is, these are all attributes of our Savior. So Paul is further hammering home the point that God desires us to be like his Son. He wants us to be like Jesus Christ. And so Paul is thus encouraging us to be like Jesus Christ, to follow that example. So in the end, Paul in these 4 verses is exhorting them to put on the new man, to live like Christ lived. Now, there's actually going to be a second part to this, as verses 14 through 17 is going to give a different list. And then through the rest of the book, Paul is going to introduce a new way of living, he's already introduced it, but he's going to show it in greater detail, as he's going to show that it changes family structures. It changes the way workplaces function. It changes the relationship between a master and a servant, between a husband and a wife, between a father and his children, or the children and their mother. Everything changes. Why? Because Christ is all and in all. Now, that's not saying that everybody is saved, but it's saying that those who are saved are supposed to be different, and therefore supposed to live different, and therefore supposed to treat everyone else around them differently. Well, we're going to explore this in greater detail as Paul explores it in greater detail in the next text and in the next video. But for now, God bless you, and thank you for watching.